achy or lagging, or do you feel like maybe your breathing's not that great, blah, blah, blah? Tell me, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah. Okay. Well, you know, I see that your sodium levels are a little high. We're going to have to adjust that, and that's going to take care of the other problems you might be having. So they might come in and say, I noticed that your sodium levels are down. I noticed that your potassium's high. Your potassium's low. That person is suffering in some way. Now, are you following me? Why?
Everything goes back to the sodium level. So, like, whenever you're doing the blood work and it's showing that your potassium is high or whatever is, you know, sodium is low or whatever, it kind of gives them an idea of what the cells are actually doing.
Yes. Note how she used her terminology. She said when they look at the lab work and they see one of these ions out of balance, it will let them know why they're suffering what they are, like they are, the symptoms, okay? It lets them know it at the cellular level. There's going to be absolutely nothing that you will come across in the medical field that is not going to be at the cellular level. You may think that this is, you know, oh, I don't need to know this. This is what you need to know for everything. Go ask any nursing faculty, and they will tell you, you need to know it at this level. That's why I'm trying to find out, are you guys understanding the level that I'm at? Do you have any questions? Because this is the level that we'll get back to for every single topic.
So what happens, like what are the different things that happens when, say, like the sodium is too high or too low, or potassium
What are the
is too high?
symptoms?
Yeah. Or like the potassium is too high or too low.
Now, it's backwards to the way you think it would be. But what's happening is these ions, because they're so important for the electricity that you find in skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, the viscera that you have, cardiac muscle, the heart, okay, as well as the nerve cells, okay, the brain, the spinal cord, your peripheral nerves, okay. If, say for example, potassium levels are too high, all right, muscle response is going to be lower to a point that the heart could stop beating, the breathing could stop, the person could die. If the potassium levels are too low, the person's muscles could actually get into a state of contraction that they're in tetany. Once again, this could cause closing of the throat, it could cause stopping of the heart, the person could die. Same thing with sodium. Sodium levels too high, too low. The biggest things that we affect, okay, with these ions, all right, and sodium and potassium are two of the major ones, okay? The biggest things we affect are going to be the muscles and the nerves. All right, it doesn't just affect the muscle system, it affects the nervous system, because the nervous system is dependent on the exchange of these ions for them to send their impulses. Does that make sense? all right? They could also find out, I don't know, let's say a person's potassium level is too high. It could be indicative of kidney problems, okay? Sodium levels wrong could indicate problems with the kidneys. It could indicate problems with the digestive system because of having to absorb or not absorb, or not absorbing those nutrients. By simply looking at lab work, they can get an idea of where to start looking at in your body, which is kind of cool, because even if they look at your, I don't know, let's say they do a complete blood count, and in a complete blood count, it's going to give you stuff such as your red blood cell count, white blood cell count. We are still at the cellular level. The red blood cell count could be indicative of a lot of things. White blood cell count, too high, you might have an infection. What kind of an infection? If they can't cure it with the first pill they give you and you go back, they might decide to do a differential on those white blood cells and determine, oh, well, there's too many eosinophils present, so I need to give you medicine because you might have a worm infecting you, a parasite. See what I mean? Everything at the cellular level. Nothing is not going to be not at the cellular level. So, this plasma membrane is extremely important. I argue with people who try to say the nucleus is the most important because I don't feel that way. Okay? It stays in the cell protected. All right? It's this plasma membrane that's got to do everything. The plasma membrane's got to make sure everything gets into the cell or something gets out of the cell. Now, another type of protein that we're going to have, carrier. To quite a few different types of proteins in my cell membrane. This is just my cell membrane. And it's not like in that cell's membrane, all right, it's not like in that one cell, okay, that I've got one of this one, one of that one, one of this one, one of that one. That's not how it works. Okay? We're talking thousands upon thousands in that cell membrane. And as they're used up, our cell has to make them and replace them. Now, when we have a carrier protein, do you notice anything about this one?
Specific in shape.
Very specific in shape. The only way that a molecule is going to cross that plasma membrane is if it exactly fits into the shape of that protein. They're called transporters because that's what they're doing. They're transporting a material across the membrane. Their sites are very specific. If the molecule fits, the protein will actually change shape and allow the movement to occur. This is important because for some cells, materials that they need, they don't need it constantly. They don't need to expend energy to get it. As long as it's available, can fit into that site, the cell is good. Okay, so usually different types of ions are what it's transporting. Maybe something like zinc, magnesium, something to that effect, okay? When we talk about the carrier proteins can move one particle at a time, and this is called uniport. Uni meaning one. We can have symporters, like symbiotic. Two are going to be moving, and they move in the same direction. Then we can have anti-porters, where one material is going in one direction, one is going in the opposite. The cells that you're going to find with these types of proteins in high numbers is going to be in your kidneys. All right? The nephrons of the kidneys are going to be extremely busy with this type of protein, the carrier proteins. Take a break. Be back at 3:30.